All right. Welcome. If you didn't hear that, then you definitely need. Welcome everyone to the July 16th meeting of the Rotary Club of Milledgeville. Everyone silence your cell phones, please. And I'm going to ask the Rotarian of the day, Nelson Craft, steps in, save us today as Rotarian of the day. Nelson?
I can pray with me. God, I love you. We bless you. Give thanks for Rotary, all of us that are in Rotary, action. God, we just ask you to bless our community, children. Maybe the pledge. To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for exaction. First is the truth. Second is the fair of all concerned. Third, will be those who don't have. And fourth, will be the justice of all concerned.
It is thanks, Nelson. All right, we had a whopping $4 in hard funds last week. So I'm going to double that. But can I get 2 people to match and do $8? All right, Jim, Chris, and Jennifer. Thank you. That's 3 people. That's good. Any of you saw, or most of you saw, the email that went out from William regarding the passing of Nancy Stewart's dad earlier this week, I believe yesterday morning actually. So there will be a graveside service on Saturday at 11, but it will be private. So please keep Randy and his family in your thoughts and prayers. And also Carly Schulte lost her father earlier this week to cancer. So please keep Carly and her family in your thoughts and prayers too. Are there any other prayer requests or any other announcements from anybody? All right, you'll see I'm still up here. July 16th. But Joe is on vacation. He is visiting his grandchildren. So he's joining us via WebEx. And Frank has stepped in today to help us with all things technology. So thank you for that. Would be looking at it probably upside down, and anyway, if I was running it. So, and I know that we said we were doing officer changeover next week. Said that for about 2 months. We're not. I will not be here next week, so we are going to do club assembly next week, which means we'll be meeting via Zoom, or whichever the opposite one is that we use, because it's easier to go into the committee. So Zoom. And then we will, I promise you, something happens. We will be doing the officer changeover on the 30th. So next week is club assembly, meeting in committees, both online and in person. And then on the 30th, the official changeover. So y'all will be glad. Any questions about that? Okay. Our speaker today, most of y'all know Walter Reynolds. He was the voice of Milledgeville, Baldwin County for many, many years in radio. And he also served as the District 4 Council Representative, City Council Representative. And he wears many hats. He also runs the Grove Event Center and does production work and such with that. Has some company out there. So he's going to share with us today, for those of you who don't know, the Grove Event Center is the former capital of all states. So Walter is going to share with us today all the work that he's done out there and some future plans. So please help me welcome Mr. Walter.
Thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. As one of the person that be able to only more digitally, we're glad to have you along for the ride. I hope you're able to see the presentation now. So yeah, just to give a little bit of background there. 2006 high school graduate, went on to work at Rotary College, studied at college as well. I did 10 years in radio on the air at 97.7 FM. Never would have believed I could have made a career out of that, but it changed my house. Did that for a while, and then when things started going more corporate here locally, I got out, started my own production company, and I've been on the campus of Central State Hospital now for the last 2 years with Capital Ideas Consulting and Old Capital Production. Capital Production is the production wing of my business operation, and Capital Ideas Consulting has been engaged in development over the past 2 years to not only manage the chapel space, but also to renovate the chapel space. So we've been doing a lot of work. And first of all, I'd like to ask a question in the room. How many of you here have ever been to the State Hospital campus, and specifically to the Chapel of All Faith? So a good many of you have some experience with the campus of the chapel. That's great to hear. The chapel, like so many of the properties that were on the campus, over time fell into neglect. In fact, it fell out of service in 2013, and it sat vacant for almost 5 years. We'll go ahead with the presentation. Turn around right where we are. Follow along. Next slide. So just to give you all a little bit of background and history on it, the building was constructed in 1963. It's a fairly large building. It's 17,500 square feet. The chapel has seating for around 400 attendees. There's also a 10-acre pine orchard outside. We do include tables and chairs with all of our rentals. We have a warming kitchen. We also have a newly opened bridal suite, which we converted one of the 2 additional chapels. A lot of people know this, but aside from the main chapel, there was 2 smaller chapels, one on either side of the building on the ground floor. We had a Catholic worship area and a liturgical worship area dominated by the Jewish community that was served at the State Hospital campus. That one's in pretty rough shape, but the Catholic chapel was in good enough shape that we were able to turn it around and make a very nice bridal chapel. And our groom suite will be coming soon. Next slide. So this was actually constructed with funds donated. A lot of people might think to themselves, well, how did the state hospital, a state agency, build not only the main chapel, but 4 other satellite chapels? Well, they didn't use any state money for the construction. It was actually Governor Vandiver's wife. She took it upon herself to fundraise $800,000, which is like $6.7 million in today's currency. And they built the main chapel and the 4 additional satellite chapels on campus. We are priding ourselves on being an affordable wedding venue, where there are so many other venues that are an arm and a leg. We try to serve an underserved community by being able to take this state property and put it back at an affordable rate. So like you shouldn't have to go bankrupt in order to have the ceremony. And oftentimes there's that debate back and forth between couples, whether it's your church, our church, synagogue, and the Chapel of All Faith is sort of neutral ground. We're able to use that and take that out of the mix. But it's also great for funeral services, celebrations of life, family reunions. We do a number of community events and fundraisers. We host classes, and we also have a performing arts element. We'll touch more on that later. So what we've been doing is we've been revitalizing this historic space. Again, it's sat vacant for 5 years, and I can tell you that when I first got there and set up my office, it was pretty awful. I mean, it had that damp smell when you walked in. Like, oh, no one has turned on the air in years. The first thing I did was started scrubbing everything down. The first 2 weeks, cleaning everything up, getting all the dust and all the cobwebs knocked down. And here are a few photos that show off just the simple elegance of the space. The detail work that you see in the pews, the detail work that you see in the central crown molding. All of the small details that you just don't see in modern construction today. It is very reminiscent of, I would say, a mid-century Baptist or Methodist church. We see the grand altar at the top of it. Also has a very nice pipe organ, which was installed with the building in 1963. It's valued at around $250,000. That needs about $175,000 worth of renovations. So if anyone wants to write a check for that, we name it after you. Next slide, please. So this is our borrowed and in Blue Suite, this is the broad suite I was telling you about. These are some before pictures and pictures of the renovation that took place. Now you might be asking yourself, well, where does the money for all this come from? And the money predominantly is coming from the redevelopment authority. This is their building, so they are investing funds in bringing it back up to good use, reinvesting in their own space. But we've been able to do a lot by working with volunteers and also doing fundraising along the way. For example, we've worked with Georgia College and GC Gift Day, which you know is all beautiful. Actually, thanks for spearheading that operation. By bringing in dozens of student volunteers for just one day each year, we've been able to renovate the fellowship hall with new paint. We've been able to paint this space. It would have taken me weeks to do this on my own, and it still took weeks afterwards to do all the detail work. But just getting the first coat of paint on the walls, 4.5 hours with about a dozen and a half GC students. So we really thank all the volunteers that have been able to participate in this and help make this a reality. We've also had work with Talent Academy students, the cadets that were there, but that closed down. We're really getting this on campus. But we've also had Boy Scout groups. We've had some connections with the military college that have helped us out. So we're very, very grateful for all the volunteers that help make this possible. Next slide, please. So here's a look at what the Borrowed and Blue Suite looks like today. We got rid of that Pepto-Bismol pink color and decided to go something a little more modern, a little more refreshing. There on your left, you can see as it was decorated for Christmas. And there on the right, you see where it was being used recently for some Shakespeare readings with one of the tenants that's in there. They decided to host an evening of Shakespeare with a little wine, and it was a great time. Wonderful. Next slide, please. Here's some additional pictures of the space. It's really a very large space. There were probably 2 to 3 dozen people that came to this weeknight event, and there's plenty of room for everyone. The space is very versatile. Not only do we use it as our bridal suite whenever we have weddings, but it also makes a great reception space. The redevelopment authority had their Christmas party there this last year, and we actually have a church group that rents from us, and they use this as their primary place of worship on Sunday mornings. So we were able to have regular, continual use of this space since its renovation. Next slide, please. Perfect venue. Again, going back to affordability, we feel like this is really a beautiful space. You can see just how great it looks in photographs, which lets you know in the world of Instagram and Facebook. That's what you really want. You want a place that photographs stuff. And these pictures really speak volumes. This is what a great photographer could do in a space like the chapel. Breathtaking photos, beautiful contrast. It's just something that's so hard to find. And with the town orchard outside, you have a great place for your pre-wedding photography, post-ceremony photography. It's the perfect background. And the chapel, when you rent the chapel, you get the town orchard at extra cost if you want to go out and take photos. It really is a great view. I think to like this here. Next slide, please. So this is the fellowship hall prior to the renovation. This is one of the largest renovations that we undertook initially. And as you can see here, even dressed up, it wasn't such a great looking space. Floors were tired, they were worn out. These light fixtures were very dated. They gave off a lot of that blue fluorescent tint. The draperies, don't even get me started on the draperies. It needed a lot of love, needed a refresh. So let's take a look at the next slide and see what it looks like today. New flooring, a new coat of paint. We also wrapped these halls. We got a local client to come in and help me out with wrapping this hall, give them a more stately feel. Again, it's just those little details. And there on the picture on the right, you can see where we have a light bar with little players. More about them in a minute. Next slide, please. This is what you can do in this space. A few tables of linen. Again, those tables and chairs are included. So a few linens and table covers really do a lot with this space. There's also a 10-foot projector screen. We just recently got a 65-inch high-definition television to be able to use for your meetings, Zoom meetings, presentations, anything that you might need. That's all there. We put in two blinds. Again, it's just all the little details that have gone back to the focus. Next slide, please. Again, another great example of what can be done with this space. The pearl copper color in there. We went with a neutral palette because we wanted each guest to be able to bring their own unique flair to the space. So no matter what color scheme we bring to it, everything works. Next slide. Again, going back to this thing of space for the community, we wanted to make sure that we included lots of different groups and made the space personal. Here's several events actually. This is a collage of several events that take place out in the Pecan Orchard. And this shows what you can do with the space. You've got space for playgrounds, you've got space for stages and vendors. We've had a number of concerts in the Pecan Orchard so far, and it's just a great affordable space. A couple $100. The space is yours for the weekend. You can do really anything you want. Next slide, please. We also built a stage. We were able to build this, again, using affordable building methods. These are actually reclaimed materials. I was able to salvage this from a local high school theater program when they finished their production. They had a giant custom-built piece that couldn't be broken down and do anything else. I was able to acquire it, and I built the thing. They didn't know where to store it, and I was like, I'll take it. So, a few small conversions, a few modifications, and now we have a nice outdoor stage. We call this the shade tree stage. It's closest to the towel building. Just big enough for you to put maybe a 5 or 6 piece band on, or a great place for a bully pulpit if you wanted to have an outdoor vibe. Next slide, please. This is an example of what you can do with even the parking lot at the chapel. The parking lot can be readily converted into an entertainment space. Last year with the Milledgeville Film Festival, we brought in the outdoor inflatable screen, brought in a few uplights, and really created an interesting mood for the horror short screening as part of the film festival. That has been rescheduled at this point until December. We are inviting you all to come out and join us for that. We're fingers crossed, hoping that will still be able to be pulled off later this year. But again, it just shows how much of the space. Next slide, please. This was the Leadership Involvement 2020 class. They came in and did a class there. We were able to donate the space for the organization. Again, we want to put this space back to use for community organizations. And oftentimes that may mean doing it for us. And we're happy to do that because if it means building greater relationships in the community, it means advancing community-centered goals and programs, then that's what we're here to do. So, next slide, please. Here again are some of the YCA cadets. They helped out with groundskeeping. And you may be asking, well, what's out there to do this? It's just me, most days of the week, except for the rare occasion that I'm able to pull in some volunteers. It probably would take me a week to do all this groundskeeping. But with these young men, they were able to come out and help me get it done. So we really love our volunteers to help us. This is an example of, again, community use. These are pictures, the one on the left from our Christmas program with Central State Hospital. That has been a long-standing tradition that clients from State Hospital will be served there in the Cook Building, come over into the Christmas program. We have our space up at the Christmas parties and events. On the right, that is something from a graduation service with the alternative drug court. Alternative treatment course, forget for the rest of the MC. But it's a drug court program here in Baldwin County. We partner with them for 7 years. So again, we open up for all sorts of. We also did a food distribution here lately using the fellowship hall as a boxing center. So this space in just the last 2 years has gone back to really serving a tremendous number and a broad swath. Next slide, please. The military players, we welcomed them to the project in April of last year. They were able to rent office space in the wing below what would have been the Jewish chapel. That's how the military players live. They have dressing rooms, they have sewing rooms, they have prop storage, offices, everything that they need on that wing. And they've been able to do a number of shows. Here are some pictures from their most recent show, The Sanders Family Christmas, which I'm proud to report sold out every night of the performance. Every night. By the time that you add in the extra chairs we have booked for the last day of performance, it ended up being sold out. 130 spaces per night. Max capacity. So we're very pleased with the work that they have done there. We're glad to see them surviving there. They had a great season planned, and then, like everyone's planned, on ahead. So here we are. We're trying to figure out ways to get them to be able to use the space to continue to reach out to their clients and supporters. But so far, we're kicking around a few ideas. Maybe entertainment options, plays via the internet, but it's tough to figure out how they're going to be able to do that and generate information. We're working with it. Again, here's some pictures of some different renovations that have taken place. They use this Pepto-Bismol paint everywhere. I don't know where they came up with it. I don't know why. I don't know why. But it was everywhere. So we wanted to change this up. We ended up going with this nice orange and blue. Put in, still got to do some trim work back there, but we were able to put these carpet tiles over top of that different tile. And this is just a small example of some of the other renovations that next slide, please. I won't bore you with the technical details, but a building this old has antiquated HVAC controller system. We had an organization come in, a local business, that gave us a quote to redo these controls. They wanted $20,000 to redo just the controls. I'm not talking about new blowers, new chillers, new plumbing. I'm talking about just the control system, $20,000. That's my quote. For a fraction of the cost, I was able to build a new system that I could control from anywhere in the world, including right here in the pocket of my jacket. I can control everything that we need to do building HVAC here. I was able to do it for about $750 in off-the-shelf and open software. We've also been able to dramatically reduce our energy consumption through the use of the system. Because originally, when I first walked into the building, if you wanted air conditioning, you had to go into the boiler room and turn on 2 switches by hand. When you wanted it off, you went back and undid that. Well, if I need to go in and heat the place for an event on Saturday, I'm probably turning it off Friday night. I'm probably not getting in there until Sunday to turn it off, which creates a lot of wear and tear on the system. Uses a lot of it. This, we've been able to reduce our energy consumption by nearly 50% over our overall operation. So that has been a tremendous cost savings to the development authority, and that's one of my little pieces of practice. I'm proud of that. Saves a lot of money. This is a photo of the renovations in progress in the main foyer. It again has not been painted probably since the 1980s. There was substantial damage. Work. It just, again, needed a lot of love. We were able to get this done for under $1,200, including paint, labor, supplies, everything. Working with the local volunteers that were willing. It really does look tremendously better. Now, you don't see the brag hardware on there just yet. That's coming up next. You'll see where this was a painstaking process. I personally took every piece of brass hardware in the foyer, along, cleaned it up, buffed it, polished it, and then bring it back to this lovely cluster that's here. There's a lot of man-hours in that, but I had to do something during the quarantine, so there you go. So a lot of time polishing brass. Next slide, please. So our future projects, again, we do have that whole other chapel space that needs to be renovated, so we're looking forward to turning that into our room suite. I'm thinking very high dead animals on the wall, but really masculine. I'm thinking a big screen television, maybe a pool table. We'll see. It depends on if the primitive Baptists want, the building if I put a pool table in there. They're the ones renting the place on Sunday morning. I made the mistake of mentioning the possibility of a pool table for multiple gas. We'll see. Next project, we're also looking at maybe doing renovations or restrooms upstairs. Again, very mid-century, yellow subway tile, not the most modern looking thing in the world. We're trying to bring those up to date. We do need some additional HVAC in those 2 smaller chapels and in some of the offices. We've been able to get by with temporary modifications this season. We also really need to start looking at planning ahead for exterior paint of the facility, which, thank goodness, most of it is brick. And the rest of the windows are all brand new metal windows, aluminum windows. The finish on them is in great shape, so it's really just a little bit of trim around the front side and around the side. Well, sequel's probably going to be the most fun. Really looking forward to that. And then, of course, the new AV upgrades to the main chapel. These are the next big projects that we have next for the chapel specifically. In the pecan orchard, I'm hoping that as funds become available and as we're able to spoil available bit of money, we'll be able to put together a plan for an initially very modest stage in Orchard. I know some of you have probably seen large designs that we had when we first got into this. I would complain about feeling like it was a little bit of a bait and switch on the redevelopment authority's part, but I wouldn't be here to say otherwise. Go ahead, get plans drafted up. Let's see what we can do. Okay, go ahead and see what it'll cost. I mean, we got a $250,000 price tag, and it says, it's tax. So, no hard feelings here. I'm happy to do it. I love being able to restore this building. I love being able to work in this space. And I think that's probably the end of the presentation. Questions? I would love to say I appreciate that, Bill. We have a number of donation opportunities available for you as an individual or as a group. We would love to name the bridal suite in honor of Rotary or you as an individual for the right donation amount. If you'll help us get some air conditioning in there, she is yours. Happy to put your name or your business logo right on the door on the outside. If I can have to talk to me afterwards. If anyone would like to make a small contribution or contribute generally to the project, checks can be made out to the Jefferson Hospital Local Redevelopment Authority. Please indicate capital project in the memo line. If you would like to have a pew named in your honor, attach a brass placard for $1,000. We really just are looking for ways to make this space something that we can be proud of, something that can continue to be a part of not only the legacy of the state hospital, but the future of Reynolds. Outside. This is an incredible opportunity for the community, and I'm just blessed to be able to do it. I really thank you. Is there any other questions? Oh, yes. So if you would be interested in renting the space for a wedding, let's say for a weekend, what would you guess? Let's hold the audience real quick. What do you think it would cost to rent a space like that for Friday night and Saturday? Chapel, Fellowship Hall, what does that cost?
2,000.
2,000 here? $500 of that? You try to deal. $1,000. $1,000 will get you the chapel and the reception hall for 2 days. And really, if you need to come back and clean up on Sunday, I'm not a hard-nosed person about that. It's fine. Just don't upset the Baptist. That's all I ask. But it's an incredibly affordable business. The exterior, the orchard you can rent for $200 during the week, $350 on the weekend. We do hourly rates, we do reduced rates, profit organization. And again, if it's something that's really beneficial to the community, we're there. We'll open the doors. We'll let you make use of the space. The food distribution for the plant. No charging. Leadership also, there was no charging. We want this space, and we want everyone to be able to see the work that has been done, so we try to keep those rates up. Now, as we continue to make improvements, those rates will, of course, have to go up and be more in the market. We will always keep in mind that we are here to serve a largely underserved. We want people to go to next. Yes. Central location. Thank you very much. We're probably having plenty of parking too. I want to imagine we have. There's plenty of venues around town, but not all of them have quite as much parking this week. Upcoming events. Oh, yes, we have the Southside Holiday Tour of Homes, our second year of the Southside Holiday Tour of Homes. We participated in that last year. Had great success with that, and I'm very much looking forward to getting to close that. Again, you want to give everyone a little bit of a preview on that?
For Saturday in December, second annual Southside Holiday Tour. We're expanding this year, going further and including our next law, as well as White Day, as well as our house will be honored as well as Rockwell, which is honored state, and Apple and Eco, possibly the Willow.
We're excited about the love that we've received on the South. A lot of good things happening around that. Encourage all of you to invest in the South Side. We first got this project underway. One of the things that I heard was, well, it's a great idea, but it's wrong side of town. And I'm like, look, either you can sit here and forget that the south side of Lawrenceville is still Lawrenceville, or you can get invested. You can be a part of the change that's happening. We've got 350 new jobs coming to the kitchen. The governor will be here for a ribbon cutting next week. We're so excited about all the good things happening on Reynolds State Hospital. Lots of good opportunities, lots of great investment. These things happening out there all the time. It's going to be an exponential burst of growth just from the kitchen project. Initial 350 new jobs. Who knows what will be needed beyond that? Just shipping, additional storage, and warehouse. There's just no limit. I encourage you all to educate yourself to get in on the job.
It's a funny project. Like, part of the Lawrence building,
So there's a little bit of confusion on the Lawrence building. The county didn't actually purchase the Lawrence building. They actually purchased a large tract of land that does include the Lawrence building. It's easier to tell people where that tract goes by saying the Lawrence building, but there actually is an organization right now that has an option on the building that are looking to bring in as many as 100 jobs next year. It depends on how certain legislation goes at the state capitol. But fingers crossed, that could be something very, very good for this community. But that option with the county is actually property that is attached to it. Off the top of my head, I couldn't say. I seem to recall it being several hundred acres. Just for scale and scope, there's over 2,000 acres of property in the state hospital campus from the buildings. And I think the last evaluation Case gave them all that property was somewhere in the neighborhood of $6.5 million worth of things that was returned so far to local control. Any other questions either on the chapel project or on the state hospital project in general? Happy to answer that. Excellent. Well, again, thank you all so much. My pleasure.
Out there, I definitely suggest go and take a look. Or if you've been but you haven't seen any renovation, it's like a completely different place.
We're happy to give a tour anytime.
Yeah, and he does obviously a great job. History and fun facts. And I'm a proud owner of one of the pews myself.
That's true. We had a few extra pews hanging around, and I think it's in your breakfast nook now. Is that right?
It is. A little piece of history in my home. Thanks again for sharing.
Thank you.
And y'all can keep Randy, Stewart, and Carly Chelsea in your thoughts this week as they both lost their fathers. And as I mentioned, we will have club assembly next week and then officer changeover on the 30th. So thanks again to Frank for making all this happen. Joe, we'll see you, bless you next week. Any other announcements? All right. Great to meet you.
Thank you. So good to give a presentation. I haven't done a presentation in person in months. I'm good to be able to get something. Thanks. Thank you, Frank. Hey, you're welcome, DP. We'll see you. Have a good vacation.
Frank, can you save the PowerPoint and send it to me so I can send it out to everybody?
Absolutely. It's saved on my desk. I'll get it to you. It's fairly hard because it's videos that run. Okay. Maybe better to save it as a PDF. Okay.